love both.
Court is in session with Ryan in Sacktown on If You Don't Like That. Now, Ryan in Sacktown.
Oh, must be Ryno.
Every team really needs what I call a shitbird.
Happy Jerry Reynolds Wednesday. How we doing? 30 minutes, 3:30. Is that the bottom of the hour? Yes, that's the bottom of the hour. Jerry Reynolds joins us. How's your day going? Hope it's going well. Look at this. We've got EMG in the house. How about that? A rare and EMG is going third person. You know what, EMG? Because I haven't seen you in a while. I will allow it. Hope your summer is going well. Yeah, not joking around. Jerry Reynolds for about an hour. We go long form with Jerry here on Wednesdays. So very much looking forward to that. In between, until we get to Jerry, I've got a couple of things that I would like to get to, including some grievances. Jerry Jones in the news again. Well, kind of not in the news, but he had a press conference or some media availability. And you know how we love our Jera audio around here. Jerry, is that going to fit your schedule?
It isn't on my schedule.
Well, it's going to have to work because we're going to get to it here in just a few minutes. Also, anybody catch some of the stuff that happened last night in Seattle? Baseball? That might be on my list of grievances and a few other things. So if you have questions for Jerry, you know what? We're here for you. We're here for you, BJ. Holy moly, Jim Bob Bowley. Yes. Jerry's saying, but Tedora's version in the intro. If you have questions for Jerry, start putting them in the chat. What's up, Red California? Right around say about 3:25. It's easier for me to organize them. If your question, what's up, Tris? If your question is just that good and you don't want to forget it, then put it in now. I'll do my best to start and go down the list. Now, if it is something that like Jerry and I have hammered a million times, I might try to work it into a different question. Or if it's something like, yeah, I'm not going to have Jerry go there, then we might not do it. But for the most part, we get to all of your questions, as bizarre as they are sometimes. What was it last week? Little League World Series? Peter, was that what it was? Little League World Series for Jerry Reynolds? Jerry freaking Reynolds. You're asking him about the Little League World Series. Now, I have not forgotten that Jerry has gotten over on us for the last couple weeks. So I will be looking when he comes on to see what he puts because under his name, he can put a title. So I'm going to catch it this week. The first time he did it, it was Family ATM. Last week, it was Past Caddy. What's it going to be this week? We will see. I do want to start with what happened in Saints and Dallas joint practice in California for the training camps for both teams, really for the joint practices. Those to me are more important than the preseason games for the actual starters and the guys that will be playing come week one. But a lot of times with these joint practices, there are fights, and there was an inordinate amount of fights yesterday between these two teams. So much so that Braun Breaker's cousin, hear me out here. No, we're not doing a WWE segment, but Braun Breaker's cousin, who is a wide receiver for the Saints, basically tried to suplex one of the Dallas Cowboys. It looked like more of a UFC move or a wrestling move than it did a suplex. But yes, that's how far we got into the weeds. And I'm talking about guys where you're punching helmets, something that's never made sense to me. Here's Coach Schottenheimer for the Cowboys on yesterday.
Information about all the fights.
A little chippy, not the way we like to do business. Got to be better, but I got to look at the film. We're certainly not going to take, shit from anybody. But again, it was chippy on both sides. And like I said, I want our guys to play on the edge without going over the edge. One guy sounds like he might have thrown a punch, and that's why he left practice. There were actually.
So here's the deal. It's the first time, other than the preseason game that each team's played, that you get to hit somebody in another uniform. So chippiness will happen. You have 1%ers in the sport of football that are trying to live out their dreams, make rosters. So, of course, there's going to be some scuffles. Now, there's two types of scuffles. They're the organic ones, and then there's the ones just for attention that really don't need to happen. And I think you had a little bit of both. But what caught my attention yesterday when Jerry was talking to the press, one guy that I'm not a big fan of, Michael Irvin, he just kind of pops up and he's everywhere he shouldn't be. I believe Gatorade containers have a restraining order against him and his belt after what he did during the college football playoff. But anyways, Jerry's being asked all these questions about the roster, and he keeps deferring to like Michael Irvin's opinion. In fact, he's asked about the signing of Von Miller. Here's Jera.
Real good, but the main thing is Michael Irvin said it. I was just sitting with him up during practice. He said he's always wanted to be a Dallas Cowboy, play for the Cowboys. And Irvin said that means a lot. It does mean a lot. He's a veteran that can really bring a great aspect to the team from the team concept. Like I said, really wants to be here. We want him here. And we believe he can come in here and really can give us some additional pressure on that other quarterback.
Yeah, you talked.
Michael Irvin said he's always wanted to be a Cowboy, and that means a lot. Like when you talk about owners who meddle, it's not so much the meddling that you worry about, it's the people that are around the owners. Who are the owners meddling around? Like, and obviously, Michael Irvin sitting in the box with Jera, making football decisions, advising Jera. Here's Jerry again when he was asked about the receivers.
He didn't need to. He's here. He's signed. But I know what you're talking about at all. But no, Michael's real impressed. He was real impressed with a couple of those receivers this past weekend.
So difficult to.
What is going on? What is going on? And last but not least, Jera had to remind us, and he's not wrong, but it's almost not a stat that you want to throw out there, to be honest with you. He had to remind us the Cowboys are like the 6th most winning team over the last how many seasons? Yeah, because you play well enough to get in the playoffs and then you choke.
I would look back and see some of the opportunities that I thought but for we could have had a Super Bowl with Dak. And we all know that it's far away when it's over and you're not there. But on the same case, I think since Dak has been our quarterback, we've won either the 6th or 7th most games in the NFL since he's been the quarterback. And so the bottom line is that we've won games. We just need to run the right games. And I know this. I think he's very capable of taking us all the way.
Jerry, would you still be interested in a substantive trade offer, kind of like you were talking about at the press conference?
Yes. Yes. If we had an opportunity, I would be.
Is it more?
So it makes me question. Maybe Jerry wasn't wrong. You remember his press conference where his son had to kind of give him the elbow? And he's like, hey, Pops, we're talking about Micah, not Michael. Maybe Jerry was talking about Michael Irvin. He was taking the advice from Michael Irvin, and he just, that was more important than Micah Parsons. Check it out.
There was no question in our mind that Michael could bring us a lot of resources on a trade. When you have the kind of extraordinary pass rush that Michael had, more or less, that we don't have that excellence that Michael Parsons has there, but we do have the depth. The other thing that I would like to say is I firmly made a commitment to Michael this spring. Micah,
Did you at any point thought one-on-one, like you're trying to figure this out?
did I talk to Michael?
Micah.
Micah. Finally, Micah. Don't worry. Jerry will be here. It is a Jerry Reynolds Wednesday as well. But anytime we can get some Jera into the show, I am going to get some Jera into the show. You know how that goes. There's a soft spot in my heart for Jerry Jones. He is a content machine. That's all he is right there. All right. I said I have a few grievances. We might as well get to those. Jerry Reynolds joining us here in about 15 minutes. Also, don't forget, our fantasy football league is ready to go. It's not traditional fantasy. It's a pick'em league. So you pick every game against the spread. Regular season. We are not doing the playoffs. It is completely free to join the league. Grant and I will be part of it, obviously. This is our 5th year doing it. Thank goodness we're doing it through Yahoo. I used to write these picks down by hand. I think I still have the notebooks to prove it. Anyways, get up in there. Group ID 13005, password IYDLT. If you can't remember that, if you don't like that. Initials for the channel. First place will get a nice gift card from Dr. J, and we have another anonymous gift card coming from someplace unknown. I don't know exactly the parts, but anyways, let's get to a couple of grievances.
The airing of grievances. I got a lot of problems with you people. Now you're going to hear about it.
All right. Another Wednesday, and I go to ESPN.com, and what do I see? Ex-Ole Miss starters granted restraining order for 5th year. Okay, no big deal. Standard NCAA protocol when it comes to power. I mean, what is the NCAA today? They are basically the substitute teacher on the last day of school. That's how much power they have. Yet they spend so much money on legal fees. So I'm like, all right, well, okay, good. These kids are going to get to play. They're going to get to make some more money. I scroll into the article. Uh-oh. Former Ole Miss starters, Daquan Wright, Zavarian Harris, and Wendell Williams, all of whom signed with NFL teams this summer, are among a group of athletes who are granted a temporary restraining order to be eligible this year. So now we have extended from the NBA G League, guys that can play in the G League and go back to college, to the NFL.
The airing of grievances. I got a lot of problems with you people. Now you're going to hear about it.
What are we doing? What are we doing? Be done with the NCAA. I'm not going to give you a 10-minute rant on them, but they are a joke at this point. Like, they are literally a joke. Sports are running and they're filing the papers in the background. That's all they're doing. They're like an administrative assistant. Dude, you want to talk about ambulance chasers, attorneys that are ambulance chasers? Some people think they're kind of the, I don't know, scummy ones. No, it's the attorneys that are chasing the NCAA. Dude, can you imagine? I guarantee you're going to see that guy on YouTube and X that goes around and interviews billionaires really quick. He approaches them without any notice. And it's like, how did you become rich? Oh, I was counsel for the NCAA. Yeah, that's how I became rich. I was a very smart man.
Smart man.
Dude, Craziness. All right, that's my first grievance. Second grievance, really quick before Jerry Reynolds gets in here. This cannot
The airing
happen.
of grievances. I got a lot of problems with you people. Now, you're going to hear about it.
Our guy, Nick Kyrgios. I think I said that right, Baki. Back me up. I think I said it right. You know, he was just a finalist in Wimbledon. He tested positive for the booger sugar. Like, there is no excuse in the world. What's up, Paul? There's no excuse in the world why the booger sugar is in your system. It's not, hey, I ate a bad steak. Hey, my trainer gave me a bad supplement. Hey, this medicine, I didn't know that it was on the ban list. There is nothing. There is no my dog ate my homework for having the booger sugar come up in a drug test. My guess is probably going to be walking it off after this. The 31-year-old Australian with a checkered disciplinary record was provisionally suspended after playing just 10 singles matches on the ATP Tour, winning only 2 since his peak season in 2022. Then he reached the final at the grass court Grand Slam in Wimbledon and lost to Novak Djokovic. Dude, Kyrgios is now rated 919th. He tested positive in June for the party drug during a lower tier grass court event in Spain. No, the booger sugar, Spain. Who would have thought? On a really serious note here, like I'm being dead serious. I am not trying to joke here whatsoever. Anybody that is doing any type of substance that is not coming directly from a pharmacy, you are playing with your life. That includes you, Mr. Kyrgios. You do not know what's in that. You have no idea what is in that substance. The first time might be the last time. That's probably never more true than it is as we sit here today. Like, it's insane what's going on right now with fentanyl and it being in everything that you don't get from a pharmacist. So, Nick, consider yourself lucky that you just tested positive for the booger sugar. At 31 years old, my guess is he is done with the sport of tennis. But I will say this, the ATP tour is kind of a grind, man. No excuses for the booger sugar. But you remember when the ATP was here in Sacramento? They played in a parking lot. They played, I believe, in the Sunrise Mall parking lot. They put grandstands out there. Like, that's where many of these events across the country, some are held at nice clubs, but some are not. So, quite the grind, not a ton of fans, but again, no excuse, dude. You got lucky, bro. You got lucky because you're still
The
here.
airing of grievances. I got a lot of problems with you people. Now, you're going to hear about it.
Dude, normal night last night in Major League Baseball. The Yankees 3-1 over the Orioles. What about the Pirates? 4-1 over the Tigers. Good game in Philly, 6-4. Philly gets the win. Giants get routed 8-1 by the Guardians. 3-0. Mets get blanked at home by the Cardinals. Blue Jays outrun the Rays 10-5. Diamondbacks can't beat the red hot Red Sox. Say that 5 times fast. Red hot Red Sox. 9-4. Red Sox win. Padres 5-2. Athletics 4-3. Brewers 22-0 over the Mariners last night. That is not a joke. And I wish the score was the biggest joke of the game. This is the second time Julio Rodriguez.
The airing of grievances. I got a lot of problems with you people. Now, you're going to hear about it.
This is the second time Julio Rodriguez has thrown a ball into the crowd when there's only 2 outs and the ball is live. Like, what is going on in Seattle? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure right around September, October last year, I was ordering a NL or an ALCS hat from the Mariners. What is happening with them this year? 59 and 67, but 22-0? Damn. That's getting ran down. That's like one of those things where it's like it's almost entertaining because the score is so bad. Maybe baseball needs more games like this, to be honest with you, because within it, there's actually some excitement. They were running position players to the mound. They didn't want to waste their actual arms once the score got out of hand. But yeah, how about that? 22-0 behind 3 home runs from Christian Yelich, David Hamilton, and Luis Lara, and a 2-run home run by Jake Bowers. So 22-0. All right, I'm good with it. Probably was entertaining for one side of the fan base, but dude, you can't throw the ball
The airing of
into the
grievances.
stands.
I got a lot of problems with you people. Now, you're going to hear about it.
That is just like, you're not even paying attention. Most fundamental thing. It doesn't like half the infield hold up how many outs there are. 2, 2, 1, 2. What are we doing? So those are my grievances for the day. Jerry Reynolds going to be here in just under 10 minutes. Let's get to all of you. Start putting your questions in for him. We'll get to some of those. Certainly, we'll talk to Jerry about the Kings' schedule, and I know what Jerry's going to say. Jerry's going to say everybody plays 41 at home and everybody plays 41 on the road. But I will still poke at that with him. We'll also talk about what's happened, this high-stakes game of chicken between the Clippers and the NBA now. Want to get Jerry's take on all of that. And what you're looking for today with Jerry is, that's a good question. That is what you are hoping to get. And they are given out sparingly. So, and if you ask good questions, a lot of times Jerry will get to know you through the show. Like Tristan, Jerry always says he looks forward to getting a question from Tristan. And I think, Tristan, if I were you, I would be watching Peter Anderson. I think he's trying to pull your shtick. I think he's trying to bite on your brand a little bit. So keep an eye on that, Tristan. Might be copyright infringement. So anyways, you're looking up booger sugar. Please don't, Paul. Paul, you don't want to do that because, like, if you're chilling with the family and you're on your computer or your kid takes your phone and is going to scroll through something because you searched booger sugar, rehab centers are probably going to come up and your kid's going to be like, what's a rehab? Yeah, don't do it. Everybody's listening at all times to like what we're saying. My wife said something super benign the other night, and before you knew it, it was already on our Apple TV, like on the screen as an ad. We're like, holy crap. What did you say? Okay, never mind. I read that wrong. Love the Breakfast Club. Good movie. Never seen it. Assuming it's about breakfast in a club. Am I along the right lines? When I think of the NCAA, I'm reminded of the detention room teacher in the movie The Breakfast Club. All right, maybe I need to go watch the Breakfast Club. I mean, at this point, can we say, is it too much of a stretch to say that the NCAA's jurisdiction is theoretical? The NCAA could deem you of doing like the worst things in the world, or you might have done the worst things in the world. Brendan Sorsby, I'm not going to say what he did is the worst thing in the world, but to have gambled as much as he did, even on his own team, and all you got to do is run down to your local circuit court and get an injunction. Like, the precedent has been set. Unfortunately, that's what happened. The precedent was set before Brendan Sorsby did what he did. And because that precedent is there, the judges are not even considering what the violation is. They're looking at precedent and how they have to rule, or they have to find a reason why that precedent does not relate to this case. And in any of these cases, it's the same thing. It's the NCAA does not have the jurisdiction to tell me whether I can play or not. You know, and here's what happens. Sorsby, who did the right thing, and he went to the supplemental draft for the NFL. But what happens is, like, 15 years from now, the NCAA doubles back after a $19 million and 12-year investigation. So show cause penalty on Texas Tech. Brendan Sorsby, who's 41 and sitting on the couch, ever wants to come play football here again, he's going to have to show cause over the next 12 years to tell us why he should be reinstated. Okay, you see where I'm going here? It's insane. It's sad. That's what it is. It is sad what the NCAA has turned into. And I get college sports have morphed. I understand the world changes. And I have never been against compensating athletes beyond a scholarship. But the NCAA never evolved with it. They didn't. They were too far behind the curve. And they've wasted way too much money on investigations that don't mean a damn thing at the end of the day. You're going to vacate wins. Okay, that doesn't take away the memory of the win for the players, the fans. Reggie Bush winning the Heisman, you're going to rip that, now give it back. You see what I'm saying? Like, you can't take an award away from somebody. You can in practice, but theoretically you can't. It's insane. So, all right, I am off my NCAA perch and moving on to what everybody here joined the show today for. It's why I'm here at the show. It is that day of the week, Wednesday, that we get to get together with our buddy and just all around great guy, legend here, Mr. Jerry Reynolds. And Jerry, I am going to put you on full screen really quick. Oops. Because I want to see what you put your title as. Cap?
Okay.
What's your title say? Cap? Something?
Cat herder.
Cat herder. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
I've got
I
a
like
couple.
it.
I've got a couple around here, and I thought I was friends with them, but it's pretty clear I just provide food and I herd them around. So they use me. They use me.
Were you a cat guy or a dog guy?
I'm both.
Okay.
But we've had cats in the last 20, 30 years, and yeah, they're a lot less trouble to take care of, but they're also a lot less, they're not your best friends. They're they're a member of the family and sometimes the boss of the family. But yeah, I enjoy, like I say, I have a lot of fun with them because occasionally they'll decide they want to be friends with me and they're great. And
Sure.
they'll say, I had enough of you. And then go their own way. Kind of like wives.
Very true. Good point. Is it true that you need to have multiple cats? You
No,
can't just have one?
you can have. I mean, some cats. I know over the years we've had 3 at one time, and 2 passed away, and the really unfriendly one still lived, and then she became just wonderful, just absolute. I think she really wanted to be one of one, and
Gotcha.
So I mean, I think it's like people. I think they have their own personalities, and to some degree, and some really enjoy company of another, and others would just soon have it to themselves. Kind of like
Very
dogs.
cool.
I mean, dogs are the same way. I mean, I know my son's got a husky, and it's very much an individual. you know.
Yeah, we have a 100-pound Great Pyrenees. He is an individual. He does not want to be around
Yeah,
any other
yeah. So,
animals, for
yeah,
sure.
you just kind of like people. You take them as they are and enjoy them best you can.
Yep, no doubt. Well, how's your week been?
Good.
Anything notable?
Nothing really. I really did catch your talk about the college thing. It is really, well, the whole sports scene is almost just getting screwed up. I mean, obviously college sports with the NCAA screwing up everything, and now, they've just got to get some rules in place. I think I love college sports, but it's a mess. Where players can transfer every year and coaches transfer every
Yeah.
year, and uh, I mean, right now it has, but at some point it's going to hurt the sport. I think fans will start turning away from it a little bit. I mean, I think we all want to see players benefit from their work, but uh, I think it's out of hand. And like I say, NCAA could have stepped in and had common sense and solved this problem 20 years ago and agreed to allow the money making sports to maybe give players besides scholarships $10,000 a year or something like that, and
Mhm.
and, and that would have and probably allowed a one-time clear transfer, that or maybe even a two transfer if your college or your coach leaves, that sort of thing. I always thought
Yeah.
if a coach leaves, a player ought to be able to leave and be eligible,
Yeah.
but not 5 schools in 5 years. you know
100%. I think when I look at where we're at now and where college could go, to your point, and I agree with you, the two big sports, football and basketball, you could easily see yourself in a situation that baseball is in right now, where you've got one school, two schools, three schools that are spending way more money than you, and you just can't compete for the players anymore.
Yeah, that's starting to happen now. I've been reading, a lot of different articles in the business side of things, and schools like Louisville is talking about they're at the part that maybe they can't compete much longer. That's a top university athletically, and
Sure.
University of Cincinnati, and so yeah, that the millions extra for salaries and stuff has to come from somewhere, and it's not all going to come from, and at some point if you're a student of one of the universities and they raise student activity fees by 400%, uh,
Yeah.
that certainly gets your attention there
Yeah.
too, and those kind of things. So yeah, it may be that Congress has to get involved, and I do think, and I've said this before, and I'd be interested what the fans out there think, but I'm convinced that the Big Ten and the SEC will uh, probably come together with some kind of situation, and they'll dictate the rules.
Correct. I'm
Mhm.
100% with you. I think
Yeah, you've got 25, 30 schools that are going to dictate how it goes.
well, it doesn't even have to be like two conferences coming together. I mean, you can come up with a set of rules and the conferences dictate the rules. I mean,
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, that's what I think would happen. I don't think the Big Ten and SEC would ever come together, but I think they could agree on follow the same rules. Maybe with somebody that overlooks both of them, type thing. But at any rate, we're going to get a college salary cap at some point, I think, and legitimate transfer rules that make sense, and the NCAA can uh, do what they do best. They can be in control of Division III.
are you being serious?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I,
that'll be their function. Division II, Division III. There'll be there'd be no need. Now, it's also true a lot more schools, probably some schools that are competing at the D1 level, trying to be at the higher levels, won't be able to stay there. So they'll be,
Mm.
I mean, I really think, I mean, when you get into tens of millions of dollars extra a year for these top schools that, the Alabamas and the Ohio States can come up with it. But, Miami of Ohio can't, and Indiana State can't, and Sacramento State can't, and Fresno State can't. I mean,
Right.
they're not going to be able to pay coaches $10 million a year, and players, even if they come up with a cap, it'll probably be $20 million.
I could talk an hour with you about this because I have friends that are coaches in college right now, high level Division 1 schools, and they've become, I mean, you were always a recruiter, but it's changing to a way how you coach. You're having to recruit the players that you already have on your roster to stay the next year. And to your point about the conferences, we're already at that point. We see discipline coming from the conferences long before the NCAA. It's more streamlined because they don't want to spend the millions and millions on these unnecessary investigations. And really, the NCAA is just wasting the conference's money. They're a de facto property manager. They negotiate, they put on the tournament, the NCAA tournament, they negotiate TV deals, and they send the money out.
Yeah, and how much longer if you're a Big Ten SEC commissioner, how much longer would you allow that? Why are you, why don't you just take charge of it? You're the one that creates all the wealth.
I would have stopped it yesterday. If I'm
So,
them.
I mean, it's I mean, they're really, they have no purpose. I don't know. I always say they're a little bit like years ago when I was coaching in junior college, and there's rules and recruiting and different things, and quite honestly, I broke some of them.
Yeah.
We had I'd be able to raise a little more money than some other schools, so I'd use it in recruiting and helping players. I didn't care
Mhm.
because I knew they had rules, but I also knew they had nobody to enforce them. So the only way to get in trouble, turn yourself in. And I wasn't going to do that.
Yeah, 100%.
I
And
mean,
also, let me add on to that. The NCAA, or at least in my experience in college, as long as you were going 75 and a 70, like you're talking about,
yeah.
they weren't going to pull you over. They were
Right.
getting the schools and the teams that were doing the egregious stuff, the flashy stuff. They're going 90, 95 and a 70.
But I was there. The old saying in basketball was for years, and I think there's a lot of truth in it. They would come down hard on South or Murray State in order to try to scare Kentucky. you know, we'll send a message to Kentucky, so we'll penalize the crap out of Murray State, and
Or Murray
like,
State.
sure, that works.
Peter brings this up because you brought up Tommy John not too long ago. Sorry that we lost him. Glad you
Yeah.
shared your story and experience with him. Thank you, Jerry.
Yeah, it is sad with Tommy. I mean, obviously, I was lucky enough, have a chance to play against him. I was a sophomore when he was a senior. He was older than me. He might have just been a junior, but I think he was a senior. But he was really good. Like I say, he would have been a D1 guard. I mean, he was a good basketball player, but he made the right choice. And so that was one of those things you look back on. And obviously, the name Tommy John, besides being a terrific career pitcher, takes on all kinds of different connotations because of the Tommy John surgery and what it's meant to pitchers now for decades.
It'll always be around until they come up with a better surgery.
Yeah. I mean, so it's a really, really remarkable. Oh, I see you got Steve Ballmer in there.
Yeah, I'm bringing him up because I'm going there next. Jerry, the last few days with what's happened between what the Clippers did with their statement, the reporting that came out on where this stands with the NBA, and the NBA shooting off a really, really strong statement about the reporting. What do you make of everything that you've seen over the past couple days?
Well, just following the whole case on Pablo Torre, I honestly trust his reporting a lot more than I do the NBA's or ESPN's or whoever, to be truthful.
Mhm.
I mean, even though, uh, but I mean, it sounds like, and we talked about this before, it sounds like that the league is trying to find a way not to do much of anything. Uh, and, and, and I guess my take is very simple. I think there was clear cap circumvention. I think you'd have to be pretty naive to think that aspiration or whatever it was, and that's just one of a couple others.
Right.
It's a company that was a scam company. I'll start there. They knew they were a scam company and weren't generating any money. And so why would a company like that had no really money coming in legitimately, agree to pay Kawhi Leonard $30 million over several years to be a spokesman of which he never spoke for him, and they just coincidentally got $50 million from Mr. Ballmer to invest in the company, which, as like I say, wasn't really a company. Well, it's a good deal for the company. I guess I'd say just add one and one, come up with two. We can get 50 million from Mr. Ballmer to invest in our company. Well, we could funnel back 30 to Kawhi Leonard, because I'm not a math major, but you give me 50 and I give you 30 and I got 20.
Yep, spot on.
And I mean, to think that's all a coincidence, especially like say when it was clear the company was a sham, there really wasn't anything to it, and the company itself had to know that. Whether Ballmer did or not, I don't know, but
Yeah.
but anyway, I think I think it's disgusting if they don't, because it's really one of those things that makes me think really a lot less of the league than I want to.
And that's what I wanted to get to, because this was already, and we've talked about it, as you said, throughout the summer, a hot topic. And when that trade got put on pause, we both were like, why was this not put on pause before it was announced? But the NBA has maintained, well, we're not doing the report, we're waiting for the third party. And right around the time that trade got paused, I felt pretty confident that the investigation was in and they were trying to negotiate whatever the punishments were going to be, so it would be clean and there would not be, arbitration, leaks, whatever. Well, you start getting those leaks. And now that the NBA responded to the report, and the Clippers basically put out a statement saying they're absolved, what the NBA has to come away with a chunk of flesh. And if they don't, what's going to happen with their credibility? Hearing you say that it's shot to you, or at least hurts it, what's that like for everybody else within that NBA community?
I think I don't know how you could not be pretty just totally shocked by this whole thing. To me, even when they were talking about during the NBA's investigation or whatever, the negotiating with the Clippers. Now whoever heard of the negotiating with the rule breakers?
That's my point. Yeah, that's my point.
I mean, if anything, yeah, I could see the rule breakers trying to negotiate with the other way, but why would you go to them? So anyway, I'm really pissed about it, to be honest with you. I think, and I'm almost as pissed at the other owners and the whole league if they don't really, really come to grips with what's going on here, because to me that tells me it's like, if you guys aren't pissed about it, then were some of you all involved also in some level of cap circumvention? And if you were, then why bother with the rules? Then you
You made
become college sports.
exactly. You made that point last week, and it was a fabulous point. It's just that even when you look at that statement that the NBA made in response to the reports, it says the ongoing investigation. And negotiations are not an investigation. I mean, the NBA, even if they come away with a chunk of flesh here with the Clippers, they have mishandled this thing very poorly. The commissioner, again, a stain on his record.
Absolutely. I just don't, I mean, really, you know, I just can't imagine David Stern allowing something like this. I mean, I know they don't, and I understand that they don't really want to punish Ballmer and the Clippers because of the money that he, the richest owner in the league and has built his own stadium and all that. There's a lot of reasons you don't want to punish him, but you must. I mean, you must. I mean, it's so different than a cop sees a politician going down the road, at 90 mile an hour. He's got to stop him and give him a ticket.
Mm-hmm. There's too many, Jerry, there's too many eyes these days. And think about every cell phone has a set of eyes. Because just in your scenario, if you don't stop that politician going 90 as a police officer, somebody's going to catch video of you letting him off, right? So it goes both ways completely.
Yeah, it does. I mean, we really do want to have, and I'm already jotting this a lot, going back to 2001, to with the Lakers getting a series stolen and likely championship taken away, and I don't think in my mind that it was stolen. I don't know that there was directive from the league, but they somehow, I think the officials, we've talked about 100 times, but I think the officials certainly felt an obligation to try to get a game 7 for high TV rating, because the ratings were terrific and all that sort of thing. And so anyway, but yeah, there's there's a lot of things up in the air now, and and the fact that all sports are so heavily involved in gambling now, it just leads to it. So I just count me as on the border with all this stuff.
Amen. Amen. Jerry Reynolds joining us here on Jerry Reynolds Wednesday. If you have a question for Jerry, throw it in the chat. We will try to get to as many as possible. I do want to talk with you about the schedule. We're going to get to the first question, but before I ask it, I just want to follow up on what you just said. Should there be any type of mechanism if a team truly is screwed out of a game to make that right, or is it just part of the sport?
Well, if it's a clear screwing, you know what I mean, where you can prove that the referees or something was involved, I think there should be a mechanism. I mean, really, now the team, in this case, I mean, the Lakers weren't, involved. They got by with a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So I mean, in my mind, that at least a game should be replayed, if nothing else. And that's not really fair to the team that was screwed, but at least there's something there.
Yeah, the reason I ask is because you can appeal, but the appeals never do anything. I guess like if it's just an egregious referee mistake that affects directly the result of the game, there's no way to do it right.
Yeah, I don't know that there is there. I mean, as long as if you can't prove there's dishonesty or intent. I mean, human error is part of it. I mean, it's no different than a player in a wide open court misses a layup that would win the game, and he misses. Well, did he do it on purpose?
Exactly.
I mean, no. So I don't. I mean, I think what you're really looking for is intent somewhere, that provable intent. That could otherwise, it's like on all sports, was that a legit catch? You have the replay and all that stuff. But I was watching a WNBA game the other night with watching the Fever, and they had a replay on a play, and they missed it. It's like, what?
Caitlin Clark play.
Yeah, at three. I mean, that was nothing. And the announcer said that, and I certainly agreed with him. It's like, how can you go to study that and basically a sort of touch on the jersey as it results in a 3-point foul? If that's, I mean, so anyway, that's that's that kind of stuff that really still bothers me.
So in your
WNBA fishing is just awful anyway.
everything's bad. Everything's bad.
It's just awful.
It starts with the commissioner, and
It does. I mean,
is
she is
just
the worst of the worst ever, all time.
you
the
almost wonder if she even cares. It's like, how is she still the commissioner?
I don't know. I mean, really, she really should resign just for the good of her sanity and league, certainly for the good of the league. And really, just Silver there again should step in there where he does have some authority and just go a different direction. I mean, get somebody that will do something. Now I don't know if Silver would. I'm not real confident he'd find the right person, but
Exactly right. Exactly right.
I don't know. The fans out there may see it very different than me on that, but it really bugs me because the league has gotten so much more talent and so much more interest. Now they've got a different set of problems, but a lot of that starts right at the top.
Arguably, the WNBA has its biggest star, maybe its most marketable star of all time right now playing, and you're doing nothing to capitalize on it.
Yeah, she's certainly the most marketable. I mean, I don't think she's necessarily the best player in the league, but she's close. I mean, she's one of the best, and Caitlin Clark, but she's the most marketable. I always said it was a little bit like back in the day before David Stern was commissioner. I was old enough. I was involved with a little bit and aware of Pete Maravich in Atlanta, and a huge draw, huge star. He wasn't the best player, but he was the biggest attraction. I mean, people wanted to come see him.
Yeah.
And the league really, and the Atlanta Hawks did nothing, did really nothing to help him. There was a lot of jealousy around the league, and in some ways not as bad as it is probably in WNBA right now, but there was certainly jealousy and resentment, and all he did was bring more people into the building and make the team more viable or the league more viable. But there was a lot of similarities, and it just and like I say, he went through a lot of the same stuff.
Yeah.
It's a shame now. When Stern came in, he made all that stuff went away.
Who rocked the better mustache, me or Stern?
You got a better one, but I would not tell him that because I scared death of him. So I would, I'd kiss his butt, So yeah, no,
really. I don't
super.
imagine you. I just don't imagine you getting uptight around really anybody. But Stern was one of them.
He was. I mean, really, it's almost you feel like you're around the Godfather.
Interesting.
And I wasn't the only one. I mean, he was very intimidating. In other words, I always say the classic was he worked for the owners, but they didn't know that. I mean, he made them convinced. I mean, that they were working for him. I mean, he was a dictator in a sense, and that's really what you needed.
Absolutely, it's what you needed. 100%. All right, I have been hogging the time. Let's get to the chat. Jerry, haven't seen much of Oscar Robertson. How do you think his game would have translated in today's NBA?
That's a great question. Of course, I really did see a lot of Oscar, and I think he's truly one of the greats, maybe the greatest, most fundamental player to ever play. But the game was so different then. With Oscar, the game was about getting good shots as close to the basket as you could. and that's what all the greats, would tell me, and then just from watching, is that Oscar could get any shot he wanted. You really couldn't guard him and stop him, but the only thing you could hope he miss his shot, which he would.
Sure.
Yeah, the first, he was kind of the Magic Johnson type of his era, a 6'5" guard when that was huge, 6'5", 220, whatever, and except that he was a much better scorer than Magic and rebounder, not quite the playmaker, not quite. Maybe he was, but anyway, yeah. As far as his game translating, with the game now, 3-point shot, where he was great was in the half court, very much a control the game type player in a type of setting where that was kind of called for. So I guess it probably wouldn't, but the truth is his skill set is as good or better than anybody currently playing. I'd say that. And people, I think he could have learned to shot the three, because in high school, I remember him, he shot a lot of long balls, but as he got better and better, he never had to.
And doesn't that speak to his basketball IQ, right?
Yes, absolutely. That was the whole thing. He just got so good that, his idea was getting in there and getting a 7-8 foot jump shot over the top, and he didn't have to settle for anything. And I always remember was lucky enough to work with Bill Russell and Willis Reed, and they'd always said, this is what they said. They said he's the best. There's nobody in his class at that time. He said he was simply unguardable.
It's pretty high praise, right?
Pretty
there.
high praise. So I'd just go with that.
You know what? I would easily sign off on that just because you signed off. But for those two, holy moly. All right, Jerry, question. Speak to the importance, I think we hit this a little bit last week, of running set plays for individuals such as Keegan, Levine, Sabonis, having some runway for the rookies to make mistakes and gain some type of flow / discomfort. Okay, balance between set plays and letting the rookies roll.
Yeah, that's excellent question. Thought, I do think there's some real value still in the game, as much openness and freelance and pushing the ball up, but certainly I think you're going to have to play some half court. There'll be times when you are playing 5-on-5, and when you're not, especially when you're not able to get really easy open shots out of breaking down the defense off screen rules, whatever. I think it's always kind of good to have some set plays for key guys, maybe even a set offense with 4, 5, 6 options to it, especially down the stretch of games. But to your point about players like Keegan or Levine or somebody, yeah, I think it's especially there. You want to get certain guys shots in their spots, so that to get them going, just to get them comfortable. So early in games, that's when it'd really be good to have a play that you feel like you can get Keegan an open shot somewhere, and get him a couple of baskets early. Because anybody that's ever played basketball, this, right? You get a couple of good shots and it goes down. It really can feed off that.
Absolutely.
So you want to get your key guys going. I always felt that. Then just, maybe you can get back into more an open game. But then again, of course, like I say, at the end of game, I always say it's good to know you've run some plays early to get guys shots, to realize, okay, now did it work? Did they get good shots? Because, okay, what's called a need plays down the stretch of a game, 3 minutes to go, you're down 2. We need a basket. So let's run this play, because we know that Eddie Johnson can get the shot and that sort of thing. And so, yeah, I think a lot of the better teams do this a little more than we realize. They certainly utilize their best players a lot more with the ball in their hands or a live dribble coming, things like that. So that's a great question. And as far as the rookies, rookies, uh, free agents. I mean, second year players. I think the main thing is try to put them in situations where they can have success. In other words, try to put them with better players as much as you
Mhm.
can. Try not to, you know, over criticize their mistakes. You want to encourage them as much and encourage them to shoot. But I always say the thing you probably don't want to discourage them much on offense, but discourage them quite a bit on defense.
Okay.
If you're really going to coach them hard on the defensive side, because that's effort and focus and intensity. On the offensive side. And nobody, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan, I don't remember many guys that missed shots on purpose.
No. Yeah.
I don't remember any guys happy. Oh boy, I'm glad I missed that one.
Yeah. Unless they're on the take and they're out
Yeah,
of the
that's
league
wrong
now.
taken. And I don't think I was ever around any of that. So I hope that wasn't the case.
It's funny, Jerry, as I was listening to your answer, I thought back to both Mike Brown's time, and then it made me think about my time in college with Coach Fisher, who you know very well. And we ran what was called a speed game. So unless there was like this clear 2-on-1, 3-on-1 advantage in transition, it was basically a transition set that every player on the court could play at any position, but you were actually doing a set play in transition.
Yeah.
So, and it's a very simple play. It can be one swing around, or it can be to the top of the key and then back to the other half side of the court. But Mike Brown was big on getting guys into corners and getting guys into places. I think that could really benefit this team because there's too many times where just random people are bringing the ball up and they're telling them where to go. I think structure there could really help if you want to play fast.
Yeah, that's an excellent point there. I always called it, structure early offense. So
Early offense.
you're really pushing, running to spots, and preferably, I always said, try to find your point guard as soon
Yes.
as possible and run to spots. First guy, the first big down gets to a certain spot. The first wingman down, you might even have your wings crossing underneath. But in other words, you're really pushing the ball and getting to spots, and you want to get the ball into your best ball handler's hands as soon as possible, really with as much time on the clock and getting your floor spacing as quick as possible. And now you're kind of into something. And now,
Exactly.
if nothing is there, maybe you go into the quick pick and roll, the quick draw and kick. And if that's not there, now you might want to get into some structure and some maybe some little automatics that wouldn't even have to be called. Where if the guard comes down, he can't get into a screen roll and he can't draw and kick. Just the pass to the center and cut sets up action on the other side automatically.
Exactly.
Those kinds of things.
Exactly, and it's a way to create mismatches because the defense has to be making the decisions. Your offense, you know where you're going. If you're closest to that spot, that's the spot you're going.
Yeah.
So I think we might be onto something there, Jared. We might have just put a full thought together. What do you think?
I think we did, or at least half of one for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Flores, Jerry, do you think the NBA can referee a game better with more referees or less?
I think it's more the quality of referees. I think two great referees could do it. Zach Zarba and Scott Foster. I know a lot of people don't like him, but he's a very good official. Might get a little red-eyed now and then, red nose, but like say back in my day, that was really, there were two officials, and I thought when you had two good ones, they could control a game. I think sometimes with three, you find the weaker officials waiting for each other to make a call. And so I don't mind. I like the three official, but I guess my question would be, you need three. It's about how good they are, not how many. Because you could, and I think in today's game, you could put five of them out there and they'd still miss a lot of calls or be scared to make calls. And so I think that's, we talked about that before. I just think
Last week.
they just really need to do a better job of developing officials. And I think honestly, and I'll say it again, I really wish they'd go into the former player bracket more and try to train them. They don't have to get guys that have been high school officials or even college officials. It doesn't hurt, but to try to get the best, get into training them. Referee academy, get guys who are former good college players, pro players that want to officiate, that are athletic and know the game, see the game. And I know maybe I'm off base, but it sure seems
No,
like it seems
I
like
thi-
a reasonably simple way to make it better.
I think you are so onto it because it's a way to stay around the game. I think it will target a certain amount of the players that do not make teams or are not making G League teams because they know that that's the end of the road. You're going to have those
Mhm.
players. It's like, nah, I'm not going to be a ref. I'm going to be in the NBA. But I do think you will have enough that have that mental acuity, but not maybe the physical abilities that could referee and want to.
Yeah, you take guys
Yeah.
that, probably you're not going to get Russell Westbrook to be an official, guys that have made tens of millions of dollars. But I think a lot of guys, they really good G League players or top level D1s, the hell, they can make $250,000 a year. Well, it's a good living.
Damn
And
good living.
now there's a lot of pressure and all that. I get that, but why not take their expertise of the game to the next level?
Well said. I am with you there. Tristan, he's got something for you.
I know Tristan does.
All right. Whether it's Mahomes on a final drive, Larry Bird on the last shot, a golfer standing over a Sunday putt. Look at Tristan painting a picture here. A golfer standing over a Sunday putt, or Beezer hitting free throws at state. Is, quote, clutch something you're born with, or is it learned?
I think it has to be learned to some degree. I do think, and of course, it has more to do with confidence than anything. And the reason you have confidence is because you have the talent and the work. You put the work in, you got the talent. Tom Brady is more likely to make a great pass late in the game than Chad Hennings or somebody.
Mhm.
It comes from preparation, talent, confidence, and you've done it before, you've been through it. Yeah, there's a reason why Mahomes is confident on final drive he can put the team in the end zone. Now, he may not every time. Larry Bird really is confident he's going to make the last shot. He doesn't always, uh, but he's confident, and he'd take the last shot the next game and shoot it confidently.
Exactly.
You know,
It's that short memory, right, Jer?
yeah, and like I say, you have to have a certain level of arrogance about you that
Mhm.
hey, I'm good. Why wouldn't I make this? And they're, those kind of people are really surprised when it doesn't work. The ball doesn't
Right.
go in. So Scotty Scheffler misses a 10-foot putt. Well, those aren't automatic, but he expects to make it. And he's Tiger Woods. Those guys are shocked that it doesn't go in. Others are hoping that it goes in.
Well, I thought they were just acting, Jerry. They actually cared.
the special ones do, that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a great question. But it is, I think, clutch. Some guys are maybe a little better in the clutch because they just. I always say Eddie Johnson years ago. I always thought he was so good because he wanted the ball in the clutch. He certainly was going to shoot it with confidence. He wasn't always going to make it, but where others really, there's guys who really don't want that shot.
Yeah.
I always remember talking to Jerry West about that. He said, yeah, he said he plays a lot of good teammates that some of them were terrific for 3.5 quarters. But and there is a difference, and as Tristan points out, I mean, there really is a difference in guys that are good players, but they'll get their stats, but they just soon not have to take that last shot. And there's
I've
guys who are just who really want to take the last shot.
I've got to imagine coaching Eddie Johnson, just his voice, what I've seen of or heard his personality through the different content streams that he does. He strikes me as a very squeaky wheel that always wanted some oil, Jer.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he knew who he was. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? I mean, there's a guy that knew what he's good at, knew what he could do, what he couldn't do, didn't. He played in his lane, but he knew he could make shots. If he could get open shots, he's going to make open shots.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much what he did. He wasn't a great creator. He needed help, but he also knew that. And so, yeah, I always say that was. I mean, I always say I learned a lot about great players or special clutch plays. I was lucky enough in junior college to coach Bob McAdoo, who was an all-time
Oh,
great.
wow.
And I learned early on. I didn't really understand until I've been around Mac. Uh, he had total confidence. I'd never seen anybody, that just had no doubt. It's like, well, yeah, you get me shots, I'll make them. And I mean, there was never any doubt. It was never his fault. If the ball didn't go in, it's like, gee, something happened. I don't know. It must have been the rim off a little bit.
Have them check that rim. I think that rim's
Yeah, I
off.
mean,
Yeah.
really, it was that kind of thing, just a mentality that didn't have any room for what would be called failure. He said, well, no, it wasn't me. So that, I mean, and he wouldn't really attack his teammates, even though, you might look at him cross-eyed a little bit.
Sure.
So,
Is that the hardest part of being a head coach? Not necessarily the X's and the O's, but managing those personalities to where those personalities can be their best versions around each other?
I think it is. I mean, I think that's something you have to do is find out, that's how you build your team, is find out who your best players are, what they're best at. And then, basically some other guys who would like to be your best players, but aren't creating a spots for them, lanes for them, so to speak. When you see championship teams, well, you need the Mikal Bridges and the Jason Harts.
Mm-hmm.
Now there was a time when they were big stars and at different levels. Well, at some point, but to get them to accept it, or they have accepted it on their own, and that's equally important as having the Jalen Brunsons who you're allowing to be star, and Carl Anthony Towns, because they have special things they can do, and you want to build the offense. I always say you want to build your offense around probably your three most gifted guys, and the defense around your three most gifts, which are different guys.
Yeah,
Your defenders are not always your best offensive players, and so yeah, I think that is. And then when you can find guys that all accept it and respect one another, and then it can go pretty smooth. But that's tough to do, because a lot of times the guys that really should be role players don't want to be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And fight it, and that sort of thing. And I think most teams have some of that. And as a coach, that's what you got to deal with some way or another. And the sooner, if you can, the sooner you get it solved, then the better team you'll probably have. Not that, you can build a team perfectly, and it might not win a lot of games, but they'll win more than they should have. And that's what really coaching is. You may take a team like, that's probably got enough talent to win 30 games, and they win 35. Well, that's a good coaching job.
You lost certain guys this year from the Kings, but I truly believe the Kings are a better roster because of subtraction by addition. And I guess my question goes to the Westbrook stuff with Scott Perry and the Kings saying these are the boundaries if you'd like to come back. That all falls very much in line. Or excuse me, I said subtraction by addition, addition by subtraction.
Yeah.
But Scott Perry putting some boundaries around it and Russ not being open to it, does that give you a little bit more credibility to what Scott, Doug, and BJ are doing right now? That
Yeah.
they're
Yeah. That's a great point. I do. I mean, it seems like, no disrespect to Russ. We've talked about it. I mean, the guy had a good year and he's all time great. And he's made the right decision in my mind. And certainly DeMar was the best player on the team. And,
Mhm.
and so he's survived. But going forward, this team need to move on from those two guys. And that opens up, development possibilities. Look for A Cuff for sure, where we can find out how good he can be. And, that's a key thing there. And nothing keep him from being his best rookie self, which is going to be a process. It's going to, it's probably going to be his third year before you know how good he can be. And then I think with the fact that Keegan's back healthy and you got Hunter, well, and Domas, well, yeah, those guys are good players, and so they'll need to have a chance. And then, of course, you want to develop Nick Clifford if you can, or make sure that he's making progress. Ryno in particular,
Yeah.
you want to find out sharp, and so it's a. I think they're on the right track now. What we don't know and what they don't know is which of those guys will take a step, which veteran will be real valuable to them, one as a trade asset or as a guy going forward. Uh, and that's really where Coach Christie, maybe more than anybody, has really got to sort that out pretty quickly. You really,
Yeah.
you can't be in the middle of the season still searching.
It was the most bizarre thing when Mike Brown, his last season, it was after the last preseason game, the Kings had shot terribly from beyond the arc all preseason. He comes out and he's like, "Oh yeah, well, I put that on me. I've tied their hands. I wanted them to only take certain shots." And then he talked about not being comfortable with the rotation. And Jerry, he talked games into the season about not being comfortable with the rotation. It's like, yeah, it's your third year back. That can't happen. So to your point about Doug, I think he's got to be all over it this year.
Yeah. I mean, I think that where it's tough, and I think at some point this happens with every team, is that you've got 8, 9, 10, and 11 guys. They're real close. Well, you can't keep them all happy.
Mhm.
I mean, you really got to keep who are your stars, your top guys. Make sure they're getting their minutes and used properly. And now it comes down to, well, yeah, okay, whoever is 10 and 11 aren't gonna play a lot. Now, will they be happy? Probably. You wouldn't want them to be happy not playing.
Right. Exactly.
But they've got to accept it. And at some point, you're better off cutting to the chase, getting an the step. Okay, I might be wrong about an 8 at being better than 10, but that's where we're going. And now that can change. We'll evaluate it in 10 games or so, but this is where it's going to go. So that's it. Rather
Play your role.
than going through 11, 12 guys a night and all that. I think that's my opinion. I just think you've got to, okay, Mr. Eighth Man, this is your job now. Do it.
Amen.
If
Amen.
if you can't do it, we'll make a change at some point.
Doug did that when he took over for Mike Brown because that was a complaint with the guys. The guys were like, "Well, I don't really know what my role is, especially coming off the bench." And I remember talking to Kevin Herter, and he's like, "Oh, I love it. I know exactly when I'm coming in. I know what the expectations are. It makes a difference. Basketball players are creatures of habit. Out of like any other sport, they are creatures of habit."
Yeah, and I get that they want to know the role, and sometimes it might be, hey, your role sit there and shut the beep up. You know, be ready in case there's 4 injuries.
I
You
love
know,
I love
but
that.
it's kind of like the old Bill Belichick, do your job. And
Do your job, meat. All right, Jerry, this has been going around on the last couple shows. People are asking how tall you are. You don't have to answer if you don't want to.
yeah, no, I mean, I've always been short. And at my peak, I was 5'8 3/4" because short people, we know how tall we are.
It's
And
exactly me.
and now I think I'm right at 5'8". I've lost 3/4 of an inch by being a shriveled up old fart.
But
But
you were always at least 5'10" or taller in the media guides, right?
well, I always was listed as 5'9",
Oh,
and
okay.
I
All
was
right.
never 5'9", but I was always listed 5'9", and so anyway, yeah, that's. But then for those of you younger, you'll find out. You too shall go through the same thing. This is the way it works. So if you want to, you want to have your jollies at me shrinking a little bit, you will too.
Karma is a you know what.
it,
It comes around.
it does.
Uh,
What goes around comes around.
what's your expectations for the Chiefs this year? Richard's curious.
Well, I am too. Obviously I'm probably more optimistic than I ought to be. I have so much faith in Andy Reid and their defensive coordinator and their coaching staff. I mean, they got that stuff in Eric being me back with Mahomes if he's healthy. I think they can be a playoff team. I think that's the best I see for them. I don't see them as a contender. I'd like to be wrong there, but I just think there's too many better teams, in the AFC. I mean, certainly Denver. I think the Char. I mean, there's just too many teams that are probably better equipped than they
Yeah,
are.
but those teams don't have Mahomes. That's the
But they
thing.
don't, and they don't have Andy Reid. But I think their overall talent, and I hope I'm wrong because I still think Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league, and that still counts for a lot. But there is, as you know, there's teams on defense, teams on offense, and that talent is still talent. Talent still plays out, and I think the running back will help them. They need more receiving talent. They probably need another edge rusher. I mean, there's some flaws there, but I mean, I know as Giants fans and Niners fans and Bronco fans that everybody knows that. But yeah, I'm pulling for him, but I think Mahomes is the best quarterback, since Brady. And by the way, I don't know if any of you watched this. I watched Tom Brady in the Arena, a couple of special shows on ESPN. I knew he was great. I didn't know why he was great all the time. And then he's almost Peyton Manning on steroids. I mean, he's
Yeah.
taken the preparation and the drive and things even to a different level. Of course, he was not the sought after recruited kid, like Peyton was, or the great college player that Peyton.
Hmm.
So I mean, he's come in different. He got great differently and just kept getting better. And it's remarkable. But I thought, geez, I saw him on a podcast with the Kelsey brothers, and
Yeah.
they asked him questions about, his preparation of this, that, and the other. And my God, he went on and on. And I was like both those guys. It's like, damn, I'm ready to play now.
Yeah, let's go. Let's
I
run
mean,
through a wall.
yeah, wow, you did, that sort of thing. So, yeah, but I think Mahomes has got a lot of those qualities. I think he's a natural leader, a true natural leader that people want to play for. And
Yes, sir.
that's where it starts, that's where it starts.
I would agree with you 100% about that. Like you saw Tom Brady's 40, right? Did you
Mhm.
where he looks like a little baby giraffe running?
Yeah.
Was Was there ever an NBA player or college player that you scouted that you're like, oh, and then all of the sudden, like they're a great player in the league?
Yeah, they're the two that come to mind the most that are Steph Curry and Steve Nash. I mean, I watched them a lot in college, and I thought, well, they're good, and you know, and then the pros had them in, you know, for workouts and stuff, and you know, didn't see greatness, saw goodness, you know,
Goodness.
thought I thought, wow, those guys will be good, and you know, thought Nash, he'd probably be a backup guy, and of course, he was drafted by Phoenix and traded to Dallas. In Dallas, he was really good.
Mhm,
Traded back to Phoenix, and he became friggin' great.
mhm.
And Curry, you know, he and Monte Ellis, and well, yeah, they're good together. That's a nice backcourt. And but you know, they move Monte and draft Clay, and he just kept getting better. And I think that's always the thing, you know, whether it's like a Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes, who was drafted late in the first. People forget that he wasn't a highly sought after quarterback, but they kept getting better. And so, you know, there's those are two of the, you know, the great examples of guys who've become, you know, in today's game, Jalen Brunson. Who saw that coming?
Yeah,
That,
spot on.
you know, that he was a great college player, really, but he was undersized, and that's why he was drafted late. You know, and of course, you know, maybe three of the other greatest players in the league were all late developers. Adetokounmpo, nobody saw that he
Yeah,
one of the, you know,
yeah,
he was just an athlete looking for a game, a spectacular athlete, but his work ethic and all that. And then, of course, Jokic, you
yeah.
know, second round pick, and early in his career, they weren't sure if Nurkic uh, was the better prospect, but they did make the right decision, moved
They
him,
sure did.
and Nurkic is a good player, but Jokic is a great player, and he kept getting better. And,
Effortless. It's
and then
effortless for him.
and then Gilgis Alexander. Here again, he wasn't, you know, and when he's at Kentucky, nobody thought he was even one of the best guards to come out of Kentucky. He was a good one, you know, and he said, oh yeah,
Great
he'll
point.
be a good pro. And he goes to the Clippers, draft him 11, and they like him, but not enough. They trade him for Paul George, so they didn't. And so now so that's your, you know, that's your elite players that were greatness wasn't spotted in any of them, but it was there.
That's why he's Jerry Reynolds and we're not. Holy crap. Red California. Okay, wanna play semantics? I like you, Red. So Mike Brown was here 1 full season, 2 full seasons, and yes, halfway through the what season? 3rd season. So come on, Red. Red, come on. Let's not play semantics. You know I like you, though. Seriously? He was starting his 2nd in a quarter season. Like, come on. Let's not do that. Love you, but just saying.
Well,
Um,
yeah. I mean, with Brown, I mean, I made this statement, you know, which I was wrong and right at the same time. You know, when the Hawks series, this past championship run, you know, the Hawks outplayed them early. People were saying, is he getting out coached by Quinn Snyder? And I said, yeah, he was. But I said, and I did say this. I said, you know, he's a smart coach. He can figure out some things to change, and he sure did. You know, that's when he started his using Cat on the high post and getting the ball out of Brunson's hands a little more. And from that point on, they were great. And now that's why he's an outstanding coach. That's what a coach does. Okay, what we were doing to get us to this point was worked, but now it's not working very well. We need to do something different. And I think
Jerry,
that's the
it
difference.
it sure felt like he might have been holding that in his back pocket a little bit.
Yeah, I kind of think so too, to be honest with you. You know, he's a good coach. He's a smart coach. And I mean, I think he went with kind of thinking, well, this is what's worked with them last year, which it did under
Mhm.
Thibodeau, and they're winning a lot of games. So why do we need to do anything different? So why change if you don't you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Well, it broke, and he fixed it.
Well said.
That's what coaching really is, if you can fix it.
Well said. All right, speed round because I got to get Jerry out. Sullyman, good afternoon, gentlemen. Great show. Besides the better basketball in the 1980s, there were great characters on the sidelines. Doug in Denver, Frank in Utah, and you, Jerry. Great times.
Well, they were fun times, and yeah, Doug Moe, what a character he was, and of course Frank in Utah, you know, really funny guy and a good coach, and I think both those guys, they're what people didn't realize about both of them. They were stern taskmasters in a way. I mean, Doug, I mean, I always remember Fat Lever and Wayne Cooper, you know, played for Doug on a lot of those 50+ win teams, and he said, "Boy, you talk about getting cussed out." I mean, he would MF you about 10 times a half. And if you were sensitive, it wouldn't go well for you. And then of course, like I say, I think with Doug and I think we were always voted the worst dressed coaches. And of course, in my case, and
Who's voting for that? Who's
well,
doing that?
Well, like I say, most coaches had clothing deals. I never did, so I was buying my own stuff.
Oh.
So I wasn't going to spend a lot of money to sweat through it and ruin it. But there are a lot of coaching in that time was different because you had one assistant, two at the most, and so you were. I mean, really, and I'm kind of pleased about that. I mean, you were really involved with the players. You traveled with them. You went through airports with them. You got on buses with them. You didn't. It wasn't charter. So you did have a lot more involvement, and I liked that part of it. I mean, you'd like to have it better, like it is today, and the way you travel, where you stay, not Holiday Inns and things of that nature.
Well, yeah, and you lived both sides of it because you stayed in those places. You flew private when you were in the booth with Grant.
Yeah, no, and it was, and I liked being in the booth with Grant better and travel on charters and staying in Hyatts and Four Seasons. I like that a lot better, and the per diem envelopes were a lot thicker. So that was all better, but I always say the other thing that helped me as a pro coach was the fact that in my background in small college, I knew about driving vans to games, and I swept the floor before games at the arenas and painted the lockers and took home the uniforms for Mrs. Reynolds to wash. And so
Wow.
we I always say we've been to the county fair and knew all the rides. It's like, so
Yeah.
I wasn't going to get big time or anything. I knew how it was, and so in my mind, how we had it in the pros was great compared to the way I had it in college, but it wasn't near what some other teams had, and certainly teams have now. So yeah, really good for keeping you humble, that's for sure.
It's incredible. Anybody young out there that hears this, think about that. You literally have, even at high schools now, you have machines that are under the hoop spitting the ball back out to you, and listen to what Jerry just said. Like that, the humbleness, the love for the game, like that is love for the game of basketball. Like
Yeah, you had to have
beautiful.
it. I mean, to go through it. I mean, certainly I did, and still do to not the same degree. I think you get a little burnout and different, but yeah, the idea that if you're a young coach and you want to be involved, don't feel like you're too good to wash uniforms and clean floors and paint things and take kids to games and spend the extra if they want to work out. And I used to, when I was in West Georgia, I know a lot of the players like to work extra, and I'd go open the gym late at night and work out with them. And shoot. And so, sometimes the wife would say, "What the hell are you doing?" you know, but sometimes I think she thought I was up to something unscrupulous, but I said, no,
Unscrupulous.
just go in there, open the gym and shoot and work with some young guys, I enjoyed the heck out of it. And I think they really did appreciate it. So
Absolutely.
it was all good, all good. But
Jerry's like on the phone.
if you're not willing to do that, don't get into it.
Jerry's on the phone. Yeah, I'll be there in just a little bit.
Yeah.
Who is that? It's Jake from State Farm. It's Jake
Yeah.
from the team manager.
Yeah, it was pretty much like that, Ryno. That's great. Yeah.
And for those wondering what per diem means, don't worry about it. I'll translate it. It's for Jerry only. Back pocket.
Back pocket. Yeah, that was Mrs. Reynolds' Christmas gifts. That's what that was.
Okay, I have kept you way too long. Red California was asking, you weren't in the front office when Thomas Robinson was drafted, right?
Yes, I was.
Oh,
Yeah.
you were. Okay,
Sadly, I was. Yeah, I'm not. My hands are not clean.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, Jeff Petrie was obviously the president. Wayne Cooper was the general manager, and I think Mike Petrie was assistant general manager, and I was director of player personnel. So that was kind of the pecking order.
Why did I think that was under D'Alessandro?
Yeah, no, that was.
It was. Okay.
Yeah. Pete D'Alessandro's first draft was Ben McLemore.
Okay. All right.
Second was
second Kansas guy
was Nick Stauskas, and then of course so from there on, yeah. But I think Jeff's last draft was probably Thomas Robinson. I think
has to be.
Yeah, I think that is right. And so there's definitely Jeff made a lot of good drafts, and we made some mistakes, and he'd be the first to admit to that one.
Yeah, it's part of the love of the game. It's what you learn from it from there.
It's not a science, and like I say, it's one of those guys that I mean, and there's some of the drafts that didn't turn out well, but probably were the right guys. I always say that probably couldn't have drafted any better. Injuries, like a Lionel Simmons or Bobby Hurley, I think they were the right picks due to the circumstance or the other. It didn't turn out that way. And then others, that looked like they had potential, like a Willie Cauley-Stein that was the first pick of Lottie, and he just, he was a bust because he didn't really want to play. And you don't really know that. I mean, there's no reason he couldn't have been good.
Well, he's been selling stuff in the public about, the Kings holding him back. He held himself back just as much off the court. So I think I would leave it at that, Jer.
Yeah, and he had every chance, not with just the Kings, but with Dallas and other teams. So, at some point, cream does rise to the top, and if it's not cream, it'll sink.
Amen. Look, I have kept you way too long. Last time I checked, the schedule is not going to change between today and next week, right? So we can talk about it then.
Yeah, we can, and there'll be 41 at home, 41 on the road, won't you?
I told everybody before you came on, that's exactly what you were going to say.
I mean, I've never worried one bit about it. And sometimes oh man, in March it's good. Yeah. And probably in April it'll be bad. And of course, I always remember that reminds me of the statement Cotton Fitzsimmons, who was one of a great coach and Hall of Fame caliber. And he always told me, he said, I was in San Antonio and I was coach of the month in March and fired in April. That's the league. He said, son, that's the league you want to know you're in. And so,
oh my God,
yeah, that's true. Yeah, coach of the month in March and fired in April.
It's brutal league, Jerry. It's a brutal league.
Brutal league. Yeah.
Just ask Dennis Schroeder, who's on his 12th team now.
Yeah, the guy's really a good player. He's obviously brought a lot of that on himself. He's too good to not be in the league, and he's not good enough to to kind of have the spot he thinks he deserves. You
That's
know?
exactly it, Jerry. It's here. He thinks he is like a Westbrook. It's mental. If he just knew his place,
Yeah.
I
I mean, yeah, that's a great point. He probably got the mentality and the competitive spirit of Westbrook, but not the talent.
yes.
Where Russ could, develop his own spot and keep it and be a star, where Dennis really should have been a really good backup. That's really what he probably is, but he saw himself and still does as way more than that. So,
Amen. Amen.
but
Well, you are the opposite of that. You are the Westbrook in these parts. Thank you so much for taking the time.
and
You get every day off this week
yeah, yeah,
besides
and
Wednesday.
I'm like Westbrook. I should have retired sooner and should stay retired. But anyway,
I don't
yeah,
know.
well,
I think
I really
I
look.
think you got a lot out of the stories and the brotherhoods of being in the league.
Oh, I
And
see it. No, I wouldn't trade it for anything. And that's my small college experience and junior college experience. I wouldn't trade it. A lot of great stories there, and uh, it's all kind of like Coach Krell we used to talk about. Yeah, it all adds up to something. We don't know what sometimes, but it all added up to a great basketball life, and I wouldn't trade it. And this is part of it, man. I enjoy these questions, and your insights, and so it's bonus for me at this stage.
thank you. Well, thank you. We appreciate you just as much and enjoy you. I can't wait till next Wednesday, by the way.
I
Looking
will be
forward.
ready. I will be
Okay.
ready. I think I will. We'll see.
I hope everybody right now that's standing up and healthy for the Kansas City Chiefs is doing so the next time we talk.
Yeah, well, we're looking forward to the season. We sure are, and looking because that means not only great NFL, but that means NBA's around the corner. And
I can't wait.
so I can't wait. So good times ahead, buddy.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, enjoy the rest of your night. Thank you as always. Thank you on behalf of the audience, and we'll talk next week, bud.
And I'll get back to herding those cats. So we'll do that.
Yeah, those cats give you any issue, just let them know that I've got a dog that I can bring over.
Okay,
Set them
yeah.
straight.
I'll remind them. That might perk them up and get them in line a little bit. I doubt it, but we'll
I
see.
just it's the thing with the cats is they're just so skittish, or at least cats I've been around, like all of a sudden they'll jump out from around a corner at you and it's like, dude, what the hell?
But,
Why are you
but
scratching me?
you just don't. I've never had that, but I mean, they're so manipulative. I think that's how mine are. They know exactly what they're doing. Okay, I'll give you a little. I'll come sit on your lap and I'll be your buddy for a while. And then, okay, I need something to eat. Get up, you old fart. Feed me. So so like I say, I mean, when you've been around women, you understand.
Well said. Well said. Bingo.
Okay. See you guys.
Do. Later, Jer.
Take care.
Appreciate you,
See ya.
buddy. Oh my gosh. The best. You've been around women. Oh, enough. I don't know about all of you. You all know that I am a basketball nerd, but when Jerry talked about sweeping the floors and talked about painting the lockers and bringing home the uniforms for him and Mrs. Reynolds to wash, I got freaking chills to my spine. Like, those are like the priceless moments. Uh, it's just love and service to the game of basketball. Um, in the game of basketball, give us and it take us. And it's given Jerry so much back. And in turn, how lucky are all of us to have gotten to hear games called by him, saw games coached by him, um, opportunities to meet him, as some of you have said in the chat. And wow, wow. It's like the basketball gods. They're real. I know you'll hear that from time to time. If it's a bad foul, it's like, all right, well, the basketball gods will make it right. They'll miss one of 2 free throws. So that was awesome. And letting the kids in the gym late at night, even though Mrs. Reynolds thought he was sneaking out for other reasons. Well, when you have friends like Larry Bird and Carlisle, you don't know if they're going to be good influences or not. Just kidding. Jerry the cat herder. Yes. I was aware. Who stopped by here? What's up, John? How you doing, buddy? I saw the note about who's down with Rico Hines. Let's see who put it in there. It wasn't BJ. It's a name that I recognize. What's up, James? Insane. Thank you, James. Spot on. Spot on. That's what I'm trying to get across. Andy and Co. Happy to see the young guys running together on their season. Yeah, so some of the guys, a lot of the guys have been down with the young guys, predominantly year 1, year 2s, have been down with Rico Hines down in LA. So that is not abnormal. There's a couple of really, really great player development coaches that have worked with it. Hines isn't as much. I mean, Hines knows a ton about basketball. I'm not going to talk about him. He knows more than I've forgotten, um, or he's forgotten more than I know about basketball. But like your Phil Handies, your Rico Hines, those guys have molded a lot of. I can't say greats because it's too early, but the guys that are at the top of the league or getting ready to exit the league right now at the top, they've had their hands all over those guys. So I just like that the group is together. So, and there'll be some back in Sacramento. Most will be back in Sacramento probably this last week of August, because then it's September runs with everybody, and then it's off to training camp. So should be fun. Appreciate everybody for being here. Obviously, massive appreciation for Jerry. I did not think he was in the front office when Thomas Robinson was drafted. I thought that was already Pete D'Alessandro. So my bad too. Yeah, Phil Handy's great. I love Phil Handy. I would tell you, if you have a son, daughter that is in high school, that's in, I would say starting at middle school, it's too early to be doing like in elementary. But if you have a child that is really into basketball and they're about at that middle school age, um, or on, sit them down in front of the TV, put on YouTube and put Phil Handy's workouts on. Many of Phil's workouts are nothing. There, he is not asking you to do anything that only an NBA player can do. A lot of it is centered around fundamentals, footwork, body positioning. Uh, so yes, put that on. Your kids could learn a lot from Phil just watching that and instituting that into their training program, etc. Um, so yeah, BJ, Ryno, I got an excellent comment from the legend on my question. Good job. Do. If Grant's show is still scheduled, it should not still be scheduled. I think it should be down by now, but Grant is going to be off tonight, which means we are back tomorrow. Double shows tomorrow. Kings Court 3:00, Grant 7:00. I am not sure about Friday. I have a commitment Friday morning that centers around prize picks. So I have bookended commitments. So I've got the Friday morning, and then I have a church commitment that begins at 5:30. That's about 45 minutes from where I'm at. So I'm looking at the best way to do Friday. we will for sure have something on Friday, whether it's live or pre-taped. We will have something here to end the week, and we'll make sure we get the wrestling in some form, because I know a small minority of you really enjoy that wrestling segment that I do with Adam, and I'm pretty sure it's just kind of Adam at this point. He's gone rogue. He just kind of does what he wants. And he's actually kind of funny. So I'll give him that credit right there. If you've not signed up yet and you want to become part of, yes, I'm going to say it, the disconnected. Yeah, the disconnected. Would love to have you join the King's Court Discord. We are launching in September. It's going to be other than the audio platform. And this will be another announcement that's coming here in the next couple weeks. But other than the audio platform, this is where the traditional King's Court is going to live. It's also where we're going to have live watch parties. We'll do some monthly events. We're going to have special guests because it's on Discord. It's not quote unquote on the record. So you will have access. They're open conversations. If you've ever been a part of Discord, it's a big chat room if you're all there at the same time. And then I will be posting a lot of different threads in there as well when we're not gathering, about what I'm hearing about the team, or if there's something that's breaking and I'm at the arena, I might throw it in there, whatever it might be. So it's going to be the exclusive place for the King's Court during the season, sponsored by Bennett's. We'll also have the King's Court that downloads to Spotify, Apple, all those same places. But $20 will get you the entire season. You can scan the Venmo code, the PayPal code. I will reach out to you immediately after payment. Also comes with a t-shirt, founders t-shirt, sponsored by Bennett's. Thank you to our founders scrolling across the bottom. Newest founder, Haunted Horse. Appreciate that. So yeah, be a part of it. Can't wait. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have game nights too, where we give away some prizes. And yes, we're going to call ourselves the disconnected on the King's Court Discord. So good job, y'all. Good job. I know I said that wrong. Live watch parties with food and drinks, you can bring your food and your drink to your desk or wherever you're sitting. So we're not all going to be in the same spot. It's digital. So we'll all digitally be in the same spot, but we're not physically gathering in the same spot. So, but that's not to say that we might not throw together some get-togethers as we go along. So, anyways, appreciate everybody. Have a great rest of the day. Can't wait to be back with you tomorrow. If you missed anything with Jerry, replay on YouTube. You can always download the audio, as I said, Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcast, The King's Court with Ryno. Love Jerry, man. What can you say about him? Absolutely love him. Great questions by all of you. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. We're out. Court dismissed.